So you've spent the many hours of practice it takes to master JavaScript. Now it's time for the payoff that comes in the form of a high-paying job. There's just one thing in your way, the dreaded job interview. I have over a decade's experience on both sides of the interview table, so with that in mind, here are my top 5 ways for you to prepare for a JavaScript job interview. Number 1. Know your CV, or resume if you're American, and be able to talk about it. Many times, interviewers will start by asking you to talk them through your CV. So you should prepare for this. You do this in the following ways. You need to reread your CV to make sure you're very familiar with it. It looks obviously really bad if they mention a point on it and you've forgotten it was even on there. You need to be able to talk for around 2 minutes about each of your previous job roles. If this is your first job, you can substitute this with boot camps, college experience, or personal projects. And now this is something you really need to rehearse to make sure you get across all the best points. This is one of your opportunities to sell yourself, so don't waste it. When talking about these things, especially your previous roles, you need to make mention of team structure, aims of the projects you're engaged in, and the tech stack used. But they will be also very interested in the specific role you played in a given project. This is very important because you could have been engaged in a huge project, sort of a multi-tier enterprise level application, and on the one hand you could have just been a junior doing a bit of HTML and CSS on the front end, or on the other hand you could have been the technical architect that architected the entire application with all its various tiers. That's the same project, but it's obviously very different jobs. They want to know what your capabilities are and what you brought to the table, so you need to be able to talk about that. Make sure you highlight any big wins or key responsibilities you had. Again, this is really a chance to shine. So an example of this is, say you came to a project and one of the problems they were having on the project is that there were loads of regressions, and a regression is just basically when you push a new feature live, it breaks some existing functionality. And this was causing a lot of problems for them, and you came along, new to the team, you realized they didn't have any end-to-end testing set up. You knew that would help solve the problem, so you put forward a proposal to write end-to-end tests in Selenium that would run in, say, a Jenkins pipeline each time a new feature was pushed out. That proposal got the green light, and you, along with the other developers, implemented that solution and massively cut down on the number of defects that were being pushed live and restored sort of customer faith in the website, as it were. That's obviously a great story to tell because you're highlighting that you made the team better, you made the product better by being part of it. So that's quite a big example, but even any small things you can maybe embellish a little bit. What you really want to get across is that a team is better after you joined it than before you were a member of it. Number 2, practice coding problems. One interview technique that is very popular is setting the candidate small but tricky coding problems. An example of this would be, say, to write a function that returns true if the number passed to it is a palindrome, otherwise return false. For those of you that don't know what a palindrome is, it's something which is the same even if you reverse it. So if we're talking about numbers, 1991 is a palindrome, 2018 is not. You can see my solution to this on the screen now. So these type of questions are thought to test both the candidate's coding and problem-solving skills. They're often very small in scope, but require quite a lot of thinking to figure out. The best way I found to prepare is to do lots of these sort of coding problems. And the best place I've found to do this is a site called codewars.com. I've used this extensively when doing interview prep in the past, especially for my first ever JavaScript role. So the site allows you to choose from over a dozen languages, including JavaScript. It gives you coding problems that start out easy and get progressively harder. They have a built-in code editor, and you can run test cases to check your code from within that. Then you submit it and you see if you got it all right, as it checks all the code automatically online. It's also quite gamified. So as you progress through harder and harder tests, you have like a rank, and you see the rank increasing as you go up and up in terms of the difficulty of the problems you can solve. This actually makes the interview prep really fun, as it's quite addictive to solve these problems and see yourself slowly but surely ranking up. Number 3, build your own projects. You need to build your own projects. This is a win for so many reasons. Firstly, you get better at developing real-world applications, which isn't true of things like Code Wars, where you're just solving sort of small algorithmic problems. Building entire applications brings a whole new class of problem, and you can only get used to doing that by developing entire real-world applications. Secondly, interviewers may set you a larger coding problem. This could be building a small app, implementing a feature, or even debugging real code. And the only real way to prep for this is by building real apps. Thirdly, many interviewers will ask to see code samples. I haven't had this for a long time, but earlier in my career I got asked for code samples a lot. I don't know if it's because it's sort of not in vogue anymore to ask people for code samples, or if it's just a case of my CV shows such experience that they don't bother anymore. I'm not really sure, but you do sometimes get asked for this. So the way to handle this is you sign up to GitHub, you fill some repositories with all these projects that you're building in your own time. Then all you need to do when they ask for code samples is you just send them your GitHub link. Number 4, prepare to show enthusiasm for the role. This might seem like a small one, especially compared to all the coding stuff, but it's actually very important. Do not underestimate it. No one wants to hire an unenthusiastic worker who's just there for the paycheck. Think of it this way. Let's say you've been admitted to hospital and you need surgery. Who would you rather have operate on you? A surgeon who just wants to do the job, then rush off to the bar to meet his sugar baby, or one who's wanted to be a surgeon since the age of 5 and he lives and breathes medical practice? I think the answer is clear when I put it in those terms, and it shows the importance of enthusiasm. So you can show enthusiasm by doing the following things. You can read up a little on the company before the interview, find at least one thing you like about it, and tell them that you like it before the interview. It can be something just small, like, for example, I really like the way the company has grown since the 5 years when it was founded. Its growth's been amazingly fast. I like the way it's the #1 market leader. Just show a little enthusiasm for the company. At the end of the interview, comment on some of the things you like about the idea of being a developer there, whether that be the offices, the tech stack, the company ethos, their approach to developing software, whatever it is. Just get a nice little comment on there. Again, with these 2 points, you don't need to be sycophantic about it, but just be genuine about why you like the role in the company. Thirdly and finally, practice a more enthusiastic delivery of answers. Now, this is one I'm guilty of not doing. I quite often drone on. I've got quite a flat vocal tone, you might have noticed from watching my videos. But this can put people off, as although you think the interviewers are completely logically assessing you, people go by gut instinct a lot on interviews. And if you have a very sort of flat, emotionless vibe, people will pick up on that and assume you don't really want the job. Number 5. Prepare questions that help you determine if the job is right for you. People think it's just the candidate being interviewed, but they'd be wrong. Interviews are a two-way street. Just because a company wants to hire you doesn't mean you want to be hired by the company necessarily. So you need to spend some time working out what it is you want out of the job, and you want to put together just a few questions which will help you determine whether the job is right for you. That could be like you really want to work with a given tech stack. Do they use it? There's a particular team structure that maybe works best for you and you want to try that. You want opportunities for career growth. Whatever it is, just formulate a few quick questions that you can ask at the end of the interview. They may well ask you, they often ask. So the interview's over. Before you go, have you got any questions for me? Interviewers will often say that. If they don't, before you go, you can go just quickly, I've got a few questions for you if you don't mind. And that also, it loops back to the last point where it can help you show enthusiasm for the role because you're keen, you're questioning what the job's going to be like. So they know if you accept an offer, it means you really do want it because you've sort of probed a bit to make sure it's exactly what you're looking for. And this is best for you as well because after all, you don't want to go through all the struggle of getting a job just to find out it's not right for you. I have new videos going out regular as clockwork every Monday, Tuesday and Wednesday at 9 a.m. Eastern Time. Click that subscribe button now and don't miss them.